The last time Bart Starr and Tom Landry met in a playoff game was in 1967 when Starr snuck over the goal line on a frozen field in Green Bay to beat Dallas in the NFL title game. 15 years later, Landry was not about to let another Green Bay quarterback come between Dallas and a championship. The Packers' strength is their passing attack, so the Cowboys' game plan was to pressure the immobile Lynn Dickey with stunts and blitzes. Dickey's powerful right arm did the Packers little good while he spent much of the first half retreating from the Cowboy pass rush. An aggressive doomsday defense slowly unnerved the Packer quarterback, and late in the second quarter, defensive back Dennis Thurman took full advantage of Dickey's frazzled condition. Thurman tied a club playoff record with 3 thefts against Green Bay, including this 39-yard interception return for a touchdown that helped boost the Cowboys to a comfortable 20-7 halftime lead. In the third quarter, the Packers tightened the score to 20-13 with 2 field goals. But just as it seemed Green Bay had successfully swayed the momentum in their direction, Dallas's disappointing number 1 draft choice, number 25 Rod Hill, decided there wasn't much season left to justify his high selection. Hill's 89-yard return set up a Dallas field goal and brought smiles of relief to the faces of the Cowboys scouting staff. Trailing 23-13, you'd think the Packers' facial expressions would have revealed a sudden state of panic. Not so. Like they've done all season, the further Green Bay fell behind, the harder they fought. The Packers' hard-headed, no-quit attitude is a result of their big play offense, for Green Bay knows they have the talent to get back into a game with a single play. James Lofton in the end around has proven to be the most exciting running play to hit Green Bay since Paul Hornung and the power sweep. Lofton's razzle-dazzle 71-yard touchdown wasn't vintage Packers, but it would certainly have made Vince Lombardi proud. The run tightened the score to 23-19. However, offensive trickery has always been a close friend of the Cowboys, and when Danny White sent everyone to the left except tight end Doug Cosby, number 84, Dallas had an easy 7-yard touchdown. Leading 30-19 in the final quarter of this blazing shootout, the Cowboys' hopes that these pesky Packers were ready to lay down their sidearms faded when White's only interception of the afternoon proved to be a costly one. Defensive back Mark Lee's interception return for a touchdown made the score 30-26 and pumped new life into the Packers. Unfortunately, Green Bay's late game enthusiasm was no match for Tom Landry's thrill-a-minute playbook. Wide receiver Drew Pearson's heave to Tony Hill set up a short touchdown run that put Dallas in front 37-26. This time, the Cowboys' lead was too much for the Packers to overcome, bringing an abrupt end to Green Bay's most exciting season since the Super Bowl years of the mid-'60s. Dallas, on the other hand, treasured a relieving thought that after 15 years, bitter memories of a final second defeat on an iceberg in Green Bay could finally be pushed aside. No one expected the Minnesota Vikings to pop up in the second round of the playoffs. But there they were last weekend at RFK Stadium playing the Redskins. The expanded playoff format had again given the up-and-down Vikings a new lease on life. But against the NFC's winningest team, Minnesota was overmatched. Number 44, John Riggins, carried 7 times on Washington's opening possession, setting up the game's first score, a 3-yard pass from Joe Theismann to tight end at Don Warren, number 85. The Redskins controlled the ball for 6 minutes with a conservative ball control attack that featured Riggins. Later in the first quarter, Washington again called on Riggins to outmuscle the Vikings. A Washington offense of Riggins left and Riggins right had suckered the Vikings into keying on the Redskins' fullback. Such defensive strategy turned out to be folly. What began as another run by Riggins ended as a 46-yard flea flicker to Alvin Garrett. 4 Riggins runs later, and Washington had a 14-0 lead. The Redskins' 2 scoring drives totaled 17 plays, and Riggins carried the ball on 12 of them, as Washington's offense succeeded with a very basic design. But as the second quarter began, Minnesota bounced back with a scoring drive of its own, cutting Washington's lead in half when number 23, Ted Brown, raced around the left side for Minnesota's first touchdown of the game. After watching their defense get pushed all over the field by Washington's powerful offensive line, the Vikings rebounded with their first sustained drive of the game. Behind only 14-7 in the second period, Minnesota remained very much alive, if only its defense could control Riggins. But Theismann changed tactics on Washington's next possession. He went to the air and found Charlie Brown, number 87, for 30 yards. 2 plays later, on a 2nd and 4, what had been primarily a Riggins situation, Theismann again threw, and Washington had its 3rd score of the half. Alvin Garrett's 4th playoff touchdown gave the Redskins a 21-7 lead as the half ended. In the second half, Minnesota's offense controlled the ball, crossing deep into Washington's territory on its first 3 possessions. But the Vikings did not score, due in large part to a severe case of the dropsies. If Sammy White had caught what would have been a touchdown, the Vikings would have trailed by only 7 with a quarter and a half to go. Instead, they remained down 21-7 and left themselves vulnerable to the punishing work of John Riggins. Riggins carried on 11 of Washington's 14 plays from scrimmage in the fourth period, and he picked up 70 yards in the process. The Vikings knew that the ball was going to number 44, but still they couldn't stop him. "185 yards on 37 rushes was Riggins' final contribution as the Redskins defeated Minnesota 21-7 in the second round of the playoffs. Washington's formula for victory was simple: give the ball to John Riggins. Through 2 playoff games, that fundamental piece of offensive strategy had propelled the Redskins onward and upward. It's been a turbulent year for the owner of the Los Angeles Raiders. But then again, Al Davis thrives on it, especially with his Raiders on top of the AFC. But most of the turbulence at the Los Angeles Coliseum last Saturday was caused by the tailwinds of some jets that flew in from New York. Piloted by quarterback Richard Todd, the New York Jets cruised through the first half, with wide receiver Wesley Walker providing much of the offensive thrust. Walker totaled 7 catches for 169 yards on the day, and this 21-yard touchdown pass, coupled with a Pat Leahy field goal, earned the visitors a 10-0 halftime lead. In the first half, the Jet defense shut out one of the highest-scoring clubs in the NFL as cornerback Kirk Springs turned the silver and black, black and blue. Ironically, the Jets were beating Los Angeles by playing the Raiders' brand of football, winning through aggressive intimidation. Clearly, this game was not played beneath friendly skies. It wasn't until the third period that the Raiders found their way into the New York end zone. Los Angeles rookie running back Marcus Allen, number 32, was barely heard from all afternoon. But this 4-yard score got the Raiders within shouting distance at 10-7. With the Raiders' running game minimized by the Jet front four, quarterback Jim Plunkett went topside to Malcolm Barnwell, number 80. Barnwell took the Plunkett pass 57 yards down the fast lane to put Los Angeles on top 14-10. And it was then that the Jets countered with a long gainer of their own. Again, it was Richard Todd to Wesley Walker. Walker's catch covered 45 yards to the Raiders' 1-yard line and set up the Scott Dirking touchdown that put the Jets back in command 17-14. Both teams committed 5 turnovers on the day, and each side saved their most crucial errors for the final period. Jet running back Freeman McNeil just about handed the game to the Raiders. But when Los Angeles linebacker Ted Hendricks couldn't keep his feet, his straight shot to the end zone was shut down. Jim Plunkett quickly brought the Raiders to the Jet 42, and with just under 2 minutes remaining, he looked for Cliff Branch over the middle. Instead, Plunkett found New York linebacker Lance Mell, and number 56 had his second interception of the final period. The Jets ran out the clock for a 17-14 win that put the Raiders in a holding pattern until next season, and sent the Jets on a flight to Miami for the AFC Championship game. Don Shula wore the look of a man hoping to settle an old score. 41-38, the final score of last season's historic Dolphins-Chargers playoff game, won by San Diego in overtime. But in last Sunday's rematch, the Dolphins were intent on keeping history and the Chargers from repeating themselves in the Orange Bowl, and Dan Fouts quickly felt the force of their intentions. On the Chargers' very first possession, Fouts lost his rhythm. Then he hit a sour note, and the Chargers lost the ball. An interception by Gerald Small, number 48, set up David Woodley's scoring toss to Nat Moore, number 89. Woodley's short passes were complemented by quick bursts from Andra Franklin and Tony Nathan, number 22. Both runners benefited from the expert blocking of center Dwight Stevenson, number 57, who on this play clears a path for Franklin at the expense of number 99, Wilbur Young. A Franklin touchdown inaugurated the second quarter. Then another San Diego turnover enabled Woodley to strike again. Number 86, Ronnie Lee's scoring reception put the Dolphins ahead 21-0. A lead they soon increased by 3 before Fouts was able to regain his tempo and his all-pro form. With number 18, Charlie Joyner's touchdown, San Diego looked capable of duplicating the furious comeback that Miami had staged in last year's dramatic battle. But while the Chargers finally appeared to hit their stride, the Dolphins maintained their own frantic pace. A 53-yarder from Woodley to number 81, Jimmy Cephalo set up a field goal that deepened the hole that the Chargers had to dig themselves out of. Still, San Diego continued to display signs of life as the first half neared an end. Number 89, Wes Chandler's catch was followed by a Chuck Muncie touchdown that left the Chargers trailing 27-13 at the intermission. Erasing a 2-touchdown deficit seemed entirely possible for the NFL's most potent offense. But in the second half, Air Coryell steadily lost altitude, then plummeted to earth with its worst performance in nearly 3 seasons. Even Kellen Winslow, the heroic star of last year's epic drama, was just another bit player in this season's tragedy. Number 80, Winslow, caught but a single Fouts pass, one less in fact than Dolphins safety Glenn Blackwood, number 47, whose pair of interceptions contributed to Miami's total of 5 in the game. This Blackwood theft led to a quarterback draw by Woodley that secured Miami's triumph. With this victory, Miami had settled an old score with a new one, 34-13. Last week's second round of playoff action concluded with the Dolphins, Jets, Redskins, and Cowboys all in the running for return engagements to the Super Bowl. The Chargers, however, once again found themselves out of the race before the finish line that has eluded them throughout their existence.